Hello everyone and welcome to Manakel's PvP showcase. Today I want to show you one of the favorite cosplays, if not the favorite cosplay that I created so far. This is my Jedi Knight cosplay. As you can see, I'm using the Targray's armor set. I like the armor set very much in terms of looks. I feel it has a bit of a mystical look that Jedi Knights usually had in the movies. It really looks cool. Sadly, the armor set doesn't have a cape, as you can see. But I feel that the lower part of the armor, the scared part of the armor, kinda makes up for that and it doesn't look bad. And I'm also using a Wanderer hood to finish off the build for the head. I decided to use this hood. It kinda suits the armor in my opinion in terms of color and is aesthetically pleasing. And I am using as weapons, as the main weapons of this cosplay, I'm power stancing Ivory Straight Swords. If you don't know, Ivory Straight Sword is a weapon that you can create from a boss soul from the last DLC, the Ivory King DLC. And the reason why I'm using this sword is this moveset. It's basically a lightsaber. As you can see, it is basically a lightsaber. Every time you attack, the weapon consumes durability, but shoots out a laser beam out of it and attacks with the laser beam, basically. So let's jump in the stats and I'll explain everything about this character. I'm using the Fed Dragon Ring, as on most builds. The Fed Dragon Ring is a very good ring that you should probably use on most builds. Ring of Blades +2 for more damage, Flint's Ring for even more damage, and Chloranthy Ring +2 because I really enjoy having a lot of stamina recovery. I noticed that in PvP stamina recovery is very crucial to win fights, so it's very good to get as much as you can on every build. And armor set, like I was saying, I'm using the full Targray's armor set with the Wanderer hood. There are other hoods that I tested, but I just feel this one has the best look for it and basically works the best with the Targray's armor set. The Targray's armor set actually has decent stats and is a not very heavy armor set that is aesthetically pleasing in my opinion. So the Ivory Straight Sword. Now let's talk about this weapon a bit. I showed you the moveset. You can see that it has 255 damage plus 96. The 96 scaling is from the rings. If I take off the rings, as you can see, it doesn't have any scaling. The weapon cannot be infused. The weapon cannot be buffed, which is kinda obvious since it doesn't have a real blade. The weapon does only 255 damage. It is a very low damaging weapon. Consumes 10 durability per attack. As you can see, I'm sitting at 38 durability from 250. The weapon has a lot of durability, 250, but it consumes 10 durability per attack. So you can basically swing the sword 24 times before it breaks. The 25th time it will break. So in theory, that's a lot. The problem is that in a practical fight, it consumes durability even if you don't hit the target. It consumes durability every swing, no matter if you dealt damage or hit someone or not. Combining this with the very low damage and the very high stamina consumption, I also didn't show you guys that. If you look at the moveset, I can only do 2 attacks before I'm almost out of stamina completely. With a normal straight sword power stance or even katana power stance, I can do 4 attacks easily with the amount of stamina I got on this build. So the weapon basically has very low damage, no scaling whatsoever. You cannot infuse it, you cannot buff it. It loses durability every hit. It doesn't even have high counter damage or high poise damage. And it consumes a ton of stamina per each hit. So basically, the weapon is only looking cool, but is not really great in PvP. You will see in my PvP clips after I explain the whole build that I used it to some extent successfully, but it really is not a good weapon. It only looks cool in my opinion. I try to make it work, but it really is a very hard weapon to use properly. The power stance moveset is a bit better, but the problem with the power stance moveset, now I'm gonna show you, is that as you can see, the weapon has 40 dexterity requirements. So in order to power stance this, you have to get 60 dexterity, which is a ridiculous amount of dexterity for a weapon that doesn't even scale with anything. you should get a shit ton of dexterity scaling from any other sword you would get it, if you would level up your character to have 60 dexterity. But this weapon doesn't have scaling whatsoever, and like I said, you cannot infuse it, you cannot buff it, you cannot do anything with it. So you are sitting at 255 base damage, and you have 60 dexterity that you don't get anything from, you just basically are able to power stance it. So really the weapon looks cool, but in my personal opinion, it's not worth using. Now there's one thing about the weapon that's cool. If you two-hand it and do the R2 attack, this attack actually deals, I think, around triple the damage that it normally does, the weapon normally does. So I guess that was the design. So you can use the R2 attack. I never use this in PvP because it has a very slow animation. You cannot really turn that effectively like with great weapons. Like for example with a great hammer, you can start the animation and turn almost 180 degrees during the animation of the attack. With this you cannot. You maybe can turn around 90 degrees only. And because the animation is so slow and because the recovery is so long, you actually, if you attack with the R2 attack and you don't hit someone, you basically get a free backstab. Your enemy gets a free backstab on you. So I never use this in PvP. It is powerful, it does a huge amount of damage. Like I said, I think around 3 or 4 times the base damage of this weapon, but it's just not useful in PvP in my opinion. So that's why I also use a Twinblade on this weapon, on this build. If I switch to the Twinblade, like I show you, and if I use Aromatic Ooze on it, it still has a kinda Twinblade look on it, like twin lightsaber look to it. And it, in my opinion, is a much better weapon than the Ivory Straight Sword. Even though I really try to make the Ivory Straight Sword work, but it just doesn't seem like it can work properly. It's basically a struggle. To win fights with these weapons, with the Ivory Straight Swords, is a struggle. You probably can use it as a backup weapon from or a offhand weapon, but for a main weapon it's really not that useful and that powerful. So the regular Twinblade, I also was using this Twinblade on my Darth Maul cosplay, and I feel for this cosplay is also a very good weapon. You can use other Twinblades, I just decided that this one looks the best for me. Now, I also have the Cleric Sacred Chime, as you can see. I didn't even upgrade it because I only use it to cast Force, the Force Miracle, to stagger people in PvP and give myself an opening from time to time. That's it. You don't have to use it, but I like to do that. In terms of stats, as you can see, this is a fully melee build. 12 Fate and 10 Attunement is only for the Force Miracle that I told you about before. 24 adaptability to reach 100 agility, 50 vigor for a lot of life, 45 endurance. I would actually increase the endurance to around 55, but I don't have enough points. 11 vitality, because that's basically the base that the bandit class starts with. 40 strength, because this is a more or less, like I said, quality build, quality melee build, and 60 dexterity for the Ivory Straight Sword power stance. Now, after I finish this video, I will most likely decrease the amount of dexterity this build has. Like I was saying, I needed 60 dexterity to power stance the Ivory Straight Swords, but because the weapon turned out to be so bad, with very poor damage, high stamina consumption, I think I will not keep the dexterity as high. I think I will, this build will probably end up being a 45 strength, 45 dexterity build, and I will just move the remaining points maybe into endurance to have more stamina, and maybe a bit in attunement to cast maybe some additional pyromancies or stuff like that. But definitely I will not be staying at 60 dexterity because it's just not worth having so much stat investment for a weapon that is so bad as the Ivory Straight Sword. That being said, I think I covered everything in this video already, so we will jump right into the PvP section. I hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to like, subscribe and comment. I'll see you next time.